from game one is taken away, and Afreeca can kind of force this to be a first pick Caitlyn, depending on what they ban with their third ban. But what I said after game two was, let's see Longzhu throw another curveball. Make it a draft that is unlike many others we'll have this season, because so far it has been really a lot about the standard going the way of blue side accumulating more strong picks, and often first pick being the game breaker. Varus ban on blue. They're really, really trying to get either Elise or the Caitlyn.
Yeah. I feel like if Caitlyn's banned here, then they can first pick the Ashe as well, and you have to dig really deep into that 80 carry pool. But something like the Kalista is still there. Prey hasn't played it so far this season, but Prey's been playing for a long time. And that is going to be the Ashe first pick. So Afreeca, once again, targeting really heavily on one particular pick to try and make sure that one member of Longzhu is uncomfortable.
This could be Jhin, though. This is definitely a Jhin possibility draft, but that would kind of require long-range damage from Khan, something like a Rumble. And after game one, he might not be going that way. Elise, by far the most powerful jungler and a staple of Cuz. So no surprise if that's locked in. But given that the champion pool is a bit in disarray, will it be the Jhin that to me is the recent pick? It makes a lot of sense. Or will it be something different? Because it could be, like you say, a blast from the past. It could be the Kog'Maw that, of course, he innovated Juggernaut on. It also could be the Kalista that was a big pick for him in 2015. No guarantees just yet. And if Longzhu are feeling optimistic, you could actually see them not selecting 80 carry in the first round and then really bringing out the blast from the past.
Well, I would actually just like a Rakan here on the side of Longzhu. Pick that up. Afreeca can't pick away Kalista. Then you get the broken as hell Kalista-Rakan combination with what makes for pretty decent pick composition. That Grand Entrance helping a lot on top of something like the initial CC of a Cocoon. It's not going to happen, Braum, just a little bit more of a safe pick. And Spirit thinking about the Lee Sin for game number 3.
Really waiting to see where Longzhu will take this draft. I think the 80 carry could be really intriguing because even the Varus fallback is denied. Probably might not want him to revisit that after a game 1 performance to forget.
Well, Rumble's going to be locked in, so Marin finally going to get his hands on the Rumble. We'll see how he goes. The new and improved, but not improved, but sort of improved Rumble on the top side of the map.
There's another favorite of Prey. Could be looking at the Twitch. They've played once this season.
100% win rate. It's my kind of sample size, Pop Smithy.
Locked in, so another pick from the past here for Prey. I'm starting to wonder where Khan wants to go with his draft because he's picked Fiora into Rumble many times already this season and not really found all that much success on it, even if he is mechanically a fantastic Fiora player.
And that was last time they actually had a Twitch composition as well. It was with a Fiora and a Kassadin, if I remember correctly.
Oh, boy.
Let's scale to the late game, shall we? And look, they actually won that game because Cuz had Zac. And pretty much if you get Zac, then you win the game, which is nice. Rakan going to be banned once again on the side of Longzhu, and there's the Renekton being taken away. Still a lot of respect being given to Tucson's Rakan. Being banned second round every single time, and in fact on the red side every single time.
I'm really intrigued to see where Khan goes. Fiora would be the one that makes the most recent sense, then something like a Jace that he played in game 2 is a possibility into the Rumble, but they don't have Galio to make him pretend tanky, as I like to think of the hero's entrance. So Marin trying to protect his famed Yordle on the top with at least one pick. That will be the Renekton. An interesting ban of the LeBlanc in this scenario. BDD has not played a lot of LeBlanc this season, but is a legacy LeBlanc player.
And actually both times the Afreeca Freecs have been on the blue side, it has been the LeBlanc ban as well. So not wanting to let that one go through for counter pick. As this is another one of the champions. BDD is incredible at completely changing his playstyle depending on which champion he's on. You know that, of course, last game he was on the Galio. Before that, it was the Syndra, so more of that control mage style, and his poke in, poke out, slight engage style that he uses with the Weaver's Wall on this Taliyah has been expertly used in the past.
Yeah, he largely reads games really well. It's why Orianna's another good pick for him, but was one of the first bans in the draft. Just waiting for mid lane for the Afreeca Freecs. It was Kassadin into Taliyah, you remember, in Game 2. They got them a lot of advantages for the Afreeca Freecs in Game 2 between these two teams. In this scenario, they do not want to drop off in the pushing. Afreeca want to go for a very standard wave pushing comp in order to win game early and thus stick the game in the mid game before 2-3 items are completed for the Twitch. I mentioned the Jace, and into the Rumble, it's a pretty good matchup. They will lock it in. Low initiation from Afreeca Freecs outside of the Ash Arrow, and situationally, the Thresh Hook, not going to include the Lee Sin there, as that's a bit more flash gated. But they do opt into the Jace, wanting to find pressure in the top lane, but this time they won't have the Galio. BD can still make the roaming plays, but to me a lot relies on Cuz trying to help these solo lanes, because if the solo lanes get going, they buy space for Twitch. Twitch can do his best Xayah impression and command the game like Kramer could in game 1. Could be really happy times for Longzhu, even on that red side.
Yeah, that being said, this isn't the kind of composition that you expect to run a Twitch with. It's not like get behind the big burly frontline and make room for the spray and pray. This is more like, well, we're all going in, and if we die, we die. If we don't, we win brutally. Certainly an option. I like the do or die mentality, but it can be dangerous.
Yeah, it relies on the positioning of prey. Situationally, not the worst thing to bet on, but it also is conditional on Afreeca having a pretty squishy lineup, which they do. It is a Rumble top. They will have some champions be on a bit of health. No true tanks, though. And potential for prey to clean up in a half second rather than needing a long time to be able to put out that damage, as in the 4-tank composition.
Well, Afreeca were fantastic at working around their 2-item spikes last time around. Game 1 was certainly where we're looking towards for this team, but can Longzhu use their momentum from Game 2? Let's find out. Okay, both of these teams are fans, certainly ready to get into this deciding matchup. Soli Stadium.
Longzhu want level 1 action. Atlas, that's why they walk up straight in as if they're playing Blitzcrank, and we're getting level 1 action!
Yeah, Tusen's just walking all the way forward. Cuz burning to death, he's gonna die. That's gonna be first blood to Afreeca. And now Longzhu in trouble as they're on retreat. Gorilla very, very low, but BDD, threaded volley has to be respected. Afreeca Freecs will walk out. They utilized 1 flash, and they got 2 flashes and a kill in response.
Longzhu really wanted the level 1. We see so many times teams stay grouped as 5 and look for the Braum concussive blow. But Afreeca reading that, rushed into the brush, got there first. You could see Longzhu distracted by Kura walking in the open.
Tusen looked like he was auto-walking, but just walked up for a beautiful double flay to lock down the kill.
And that was enough to get the kill, like you mentioned, the summoner lead as well, and undo what is a very strong level 1 comp from Longzhu. Big win there for the side of Afreeca Freecs. On the blue side, now they even have a bit of gold, and most of that going onto the boots from Thresh, so maybe he'll start to get his roaming on even earlier.
Yeah, doing his best Gorilla impression. Of course, Gorilla known for getting into the mid lane quite early on, but a lot of these Threshers also following suit. It will be a lot faster for Tusen, who also has the control ward picked up that he's going to place very early. Think of the value that you're going to get out of that control ward, Papa Smithy. That is fantastic. Already able to get that one down in the mid lane as Marin is going to miss the first Harpoon. Good story for Khan.
Harpoon first start because Q can no longer stack up heat at level 1.
Yeah.
Reminds you of the very old days where Rumble had to start Harpoon and would get pushed in. Little Yordle changed a lot after the changes on Q, allowing him to do full damage to minions and monsters. Has to be respectful. It is still the Jace in the top lane who will be pushing in and have some kill pressure on the Rumble as well.
We'll see which jungler is going to make their way up towards that top side. It has been a focus so far in this series. It's Khan picking up first blood up there the last 2 games in a row. Because once again, at least hanging around up here. We'll see whether Rift Scuttle is going to be where he goes to first, or whether he's going to try and contest. And no, it is going to be that Scuttle. Level 3 already gained.
Starts to walk in, will ward, so at least has 1 entrance warded. They know that there is a ward pinged out by Khan in the top side, so will not be going for a gank on Marin. For once, pressure is relieved at around level 3.
Yep. Thankfully not going to be shoving forward too far, as Kuro looking very, very comfortable on his Karma. Looked great on it in the first game, and best thing about it was honestly the Inspire usage. He was very, very good at getting the shields on the correct targets, saving Kramer many, many times, and he was playing very aggressively, and the communication from Afreeca looked brilliant in the first game. Has been a place where some of the question marks has been put down for these guys because they do tend to make overly aggressive plays that doesn't seem like everyone's completely on board with.
Kuro, this game is able to run the teleport as well. Doesn't have to respect an Ash arrow, and when it comes to initiation CC, it's only really the Cocoon that is instant cast, so we'll have the teleport potentially for the double teleport plays later in the game.
Like it. Right now, getting pushed in by BDD. Bit of a different matchup now, comparison to that of the Syndra. Be able to farm a little bit more quickly.
Let's see if Cuz parts over and finds the control ward.
Oh, he didn't.
Really?
That was weird. Okay.
Because bot lane, we've got action happening.
Yeah, Exhaust is actually going to be invested here. Good stun from the concussive blows, but Kramer still able to get the damage down. There's the flayback as Gorilla has been ignited. Spirit makes his way in. Doesn't get the Q, but it's still a lot of damage. It's traded kills 1-for-1 as mid laner goes down in trade for the support as Tucson should survive. No, he's not going to as BDD grabs the kill. He's trying to use his body to put himself in the way, but he's just a little bit too big, and that is going to be a brilliant trade back from Longzhu.
Ends up being a 2-for-1, even though Gorilla didn't have Flash. So with a summoner disadvantage, Longzhu on first roam, the teleport through doesn't matter on the side of Kuro. So going to be very happy with how that turned out, given they were behind as early as a minute and a half into the game. Cuz just here to help Prey push the lane in and back. You're going to see a replay of what happened. The reason why the control ward was not cleared is that the all-in happened onto Tucson. Could have flashed earlier, but with the teleport coming in, they thought they were baiting, but first roam coming through from BDD, and the amount of unworked ground mean that the Talia could keep putting out consistent damage. A low health bars didn't matter. Prey had flash to get out, and it ends up being a trade-up for Longzhu Gaming.
Yep, and BDD effortlessly transitioning his playstyle to this very roam-heavy Talia. Clear lane, move around the map, get yourself right in there. Certainly looking on point with that pick, as he has in the past as well. Marin, of course, not moving at all. He's just going to be able to shove this wave in before heading back to base himself. Khan gets himself an extra Doran's Blade and a longsword there as well, so starting to put some damage to his name. But the arm guard going to be pretty useful from the Rumble.
Has to go defensive though, no teamfight utility like the Haunting Guys rush that was able to be picked up after the triple kill earlier in the series. So different type of Rumble build, having to contend with a difficult lane for Rumble. And in general, Jace's going to be pretty happy to rain down the hurt from long range. Karma doesn't really offer that much against a Jace pick. Sure, she has her poke of her own and a shield, but in general, Jace does pretty well into a lack of initiation from the mid and top lane role. Going to be all on Kramer, really, to make the Jace pay in those scenarios.
Marin with only one ward up here towards the top side. One on the Krug camp, but isn't actually going to find anything as Kuz refills his mana bar with the Honey Fruit. DDD cheating towards the top side. Weaver's Wall at the ready. So I don't know where the Spirit actually wanted to get towards.
They're going to know about Spirit now. Talia could make a move.
All right, clears out some vision. Cocoon going to be dodged. Will be Spirit being A-OK, but they now know exactly where Kuz is as well, which is important, especially for Marin.
Talia was still contending with the minion wave, so couldn't just out of vision put down the Weaver's Wall and use it as a gap close. In the end, Spirit gets away, despite looking pretty hairy from the start. Speaking of looking pretty hairy.
Yeah, exactly.
Minion wave is going to push too fast, so won't be able to get the turret dive synced up.
Feels a bit bad. Kuz actually meandering a little bit aimlessly, looking for a possible opportunity on the Kuro.
Does have his red buff spawning soon and Krugs, but Spirit having the information that the Elise was topside will go for a steal of his own.
Yep, the vision actually going to be gained by Kramer there, just making sure that there was no spider making her way over, and Kuro's even going to get this one donated, so nicely stolen by Spirit.
Yeah, multi-step process, because the Hawk Shot allows it to be a trade or a trade-off to the Karma rather than just smited away by the Lee Sings. The extra information, there will be no answering smite to claim the blue. Speaking of blue claims, though, might just be the answering blue claim on the other side.
Spirit and Kuro do make their way back over.
This is risky, though, because they have to contend with the Equalizer in a pretty small entrance, so probably smart of them to back away. Even if Jace was going to be first roam, Equalizer cast range meant that it was just too risky.
Tucson looking for BDD, but Of course, Talia pretty mobile. There's the equalizer actually going down. No mana on Khan. It's now Marin looking for some flame spitter damage. If he lands the harpoon, which he does, in Fog of War as well, heats himself up, can't get the autos, and doesn't want to dive the turret. Aggressive play, teleports both up for these top laners, so Khan isn't going to lose too much, but will lose that global pressure that Summoner Spell offers if he wants to stay competitive in this lane.
Still can get to lane pretty fast, though, even without investing in the teleports. I think he'll probably just run up. No, he actually does teleport, I tell a lie. Really wants to get in there and keep pushing in lane over. Going for a teleport play, and when it's Jace, that kind of makes sense, right? Not going to be making explosive teleport plays around the map at this point.
The amount of value that they're putting on lane pressure as well this game.
A teleport for lane pressure is a pretty rare thing, but when it is specifically someone like a Jace or a Kennen making the lane-focused play, it's just a bit more incentivized than if it was someone like Galio, for example.
Also, Jace not going to do all that much after a teleport anyway. It's not like you're going to go for some sick backline flank and just acceleration gate yourself in there to die.
Hey, Ixu's Death Stance Jace. That was a melee range Jace earlier in the season, but apart from that, completely agree.
Yeah. Ixu also got a pentakill on Akali this season.
We'll talk about that more in our second series.
Oh, yeah.
It was against Samsung Galaxy, who they play.
Absolutely fantastic. What a day. Just get the repeat of the cool picks without the cool picks.
I feel like, exactly, we're hooking people with the promise of Mordekaiser and Akali and giving them Karma and Rumble.
Yep. Yeah, this Afreeca Freecs draft this time, not looking super exciting. And you look over the side of Longzhu and you're like, oh, Twitch is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Otherwise, pretty standard for both of these guys. But we saw it throughout this entire series, throughout this entire matchup. But a lot of these picks are exciting for certain reasons. Like Kuro's Karma makes Karma actually feel exciting to me, especially now on this patch, because he does play her so expertly. See whether this teleport is going to be useful. The Afreeca Freecs have got themselves 300 gold in the lead, meaning barely anything at this particular point in the game.
Troll wards down around the same spot of the map by both junglers. Spirit has a level advantage. I don't know about the equalizer from Marin, but it was largely to slow down. Spirit won't be able to close the gap. Kuz is here too.
Yeah, and that's going to be so much damage onto Spirit. The kickback comes in as Marin actually doing a lot of damage back. Khan having to tank up this minion wave, but oh, Kuz! From the back end, able to get that cheeky auto in there after the Q, and that's going to be it. Seals the deal with the kill onto Spirit.
Yeah, hit the full spell rotation. Nice stuff from Kuz, understanding his limits. Actually used the repel onto the blast cone because the Lee Sin was already out of range. From that gap close, able to pick up the kill. Clean Elise mechanics from an Elise main. That's Kuz's flash for flash.
Yeah, trade some flashes there as well. When he was having a little bit of trouble working out what to do, immediately everything coming in. Marin has to be careful. Scrap shield going to be there, and BDD, he's the one turning up this time. Good flash from Marin, but it's just not going to be enough. Thunderlords helps out, and BDD is going to take that kill easily. Kuz says, I was helping. They might be able to push out this minion wave and get themselves some decent damage onto this turret unless Spirit can help.
It's fun to see the three-man unit, because playing Gorilla, you knew you could build a team around them, but it's the new three of Kuz, Khan, and BDD. Kuz not in the roster, even though he was a streamer under Longzhu, and BDD coming off the substitutes bench, playing around each other as the invasion trio and cleaning up members of Afreeca Freecs. In the meantime, Kuro and Tucson getting some auto attacks, but no more onto the mid lane, and now the gold lead swings over to Longzhu game.
Yeah, trading back is just feeling too hard. Blade of the Ruin King done for Kramer, so he's got his first item spike, as well as the Athene's Unholy Grail for Kuro. Those two item spikes that we spoke about for Afreeca are certainly there. Longzhu feeling like, as far as map rotations are concerned, the moves that they've made there have got themselves this 1,000 gold lead. But Afreeca Freecs' composition still will be stronger earlier with the items that they'll be able to pick up. See whether it is going to be enough, because right now Longzhu just look to be having the answers for what Afreeca Freecs are trying to put down.
Yeah, and it's one of those conditional statements, right? Like, if you ask me who is stronger 1 to 2 items in a 5v5 team fight, it's obviously the Afreeca Freecs. They have Karma, they have Rumble. These champions are very well understood, especially when you're going Ardent Sensor, Athenes, and Rumble has always been the level 11 wonder. But also, Longzhu can look at that. They don't need a cheat sheet. They don't need to be listening to the stream to know that information. They just don't choose to 5v5 early. and they just split the map. Jace is having a fun time against Rumble, forcing Rumble to equalize the minion waves because of pressure. Taliyah happy to push in mid lane. Outnumbering is very possible for Longzhu because they have the Weaver's Wall on a lot shorter cooldown than the teleport. There are still ways for Longzhu to win the mid game that aren't 5v5.
Yeah. Was intelligent. I believe they knew that Cuz was up towards the top side, so they steal another blue buff. Blue is now going to be babysat by Marin until they can get themselves over there. BDD could not actually find any way in, try and help out that bottom side. So Afreeca still, their brains working as far as decision making is concerned. And ward placement. Cuz has been spotted almost every attempted gank that he's been making, but 1,000 gold lead is most certainly still there for a team happy to get to a super-powered Twitch state of the game. It's pretty comfortable for Longzhu, as Kuro says, well, that was painful.
Playing around wall placement too, like you say, the equalizers into lanes are where they suspected that the Cuz might be top lane, and the side of the map where they have no vision. So Rumble can only really equalize the minion waves, hug his turret, and hope for the best. So playing around vision so important at this level of play. Speaking of playing around vision.
Yeah, Spirit is almost going to die, gets himself out of the way there, and Tucson offered him the Dark Passage, but decided not to take it. That's a little bit sad. Ambush here for Prey, but not actually going for any sort of submarine. Freecs will be able to take this blue buff by the looks of things. Khan, no knowledge that this is being taken, is close. Well, it's going to be Kuro who locks that one down. So double blue buffs, I believe, for this Karma.
It's Khan, they're actually going for Kuro.
Okay, trying to get himself underneath here. Oh, Seismic Shove is going to land. Now Cuz, he wasn't necessarily needed, and Spirit is chasing after him, but Gorilla's going to turn up at exactly the right time. We talk about games of chess with a lot of these LCK matches, especially this end of the standings. And so far, Longzhu have had all the answers.
And you talk about games of chess, even in smaller interactions as Cuz stepped forward for the Cocoon, and because he wanted to sidestep the Q coming through from Spirit, and got out because Gorilla was roaming. Really clean stuff from him, and from Longzhu in general. Aggressive mindset of Khan can never be doubted, as Prey also likes to play on the aggressive side of the coin.
Mm-hmm. I too like to live dangerously. I believe is the line.
Nailed it.
Nice. But Blade of the Ruined King's both done. Twitch opting for his as well. Prey looking to make it 2 out of 2 as champion this season. Of course, has played it a heck of a lot more, but was always a champion that he was very, very good at. It's Kramer. Okay, just throws out a hawk shot and says, well, I'm just going to leave. The Twitch disappeared. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. The hook is just going to flat out miss. Cuz gets hit by the arrow, though. And that should be the trade. No, not yet. The rappel comes down. That is going to be the junglers. Traded immediately, but it shouldn't have been a 1-for-1. Make that a 1-for-2. As Khan teleports in, grabs the second kill, and Kuro might even make it 3. No, good slow in the inner fire.
And just as Marin had already used Teleport Atlas, so no way for him to get involved in the fight. He might walk down and equalize the minion wave. BDD a few auto attacks away from cleaning out this mid lane turret, and Khan will do the rest.
Yep, that's going to be that. Equalizer gets Marin some CS, and that is it. Prey now free to work on the bottom side, and this is the dream for a Twitch. You know, like, don't even need to worry. The rest of your team just doing well without you, and he's just able to scale up to those 3 items that he wants.
And you wonder why sometimes you see Elise is going full tank, because the reality of Elise is that you can go untargetable for 2.5 seconds, and that's the same as being really tanky and soaking damage, because the rest of the team is still in 500 units or less trying to kill you. You can go as Zonias as well and buy even more untargetability and turnaround. So the pick build is working just fine for Cuz. And to touch on what you mentioned, most people know that Prey is a legacy Twitch, played it a lot at the start of his career. You say it's a good pick for him. What does that mean? He's played it 26 times in his career, and he has won 21 times. 21-5 is an insane win rate on Twitch. Over 80% in the career of a player who's played for 5 years is a very impressive number.
Oh, most certainly is. For a team like Longzhu that do play around their veteran players on the bottom side of the map, if you want a late game insurance policy, giving it to someone with that level pedigree and style and everything that Prey does have, it's a pretty decent way to win a game of League of Legends. As long as you have both of the dragons there as well to grab the Mountain Drake from before. Marin's going to be able to at least answer this bottom outer turret, but the bottom lane did have to go back from the Afreeca Freecs. The unfortunate thing is for this team is that they haven't been able to go back to what was a really good triage style in game number 1, where it looked like everything was going wrong on the top side of the map. Khan was getting way too far ahead, but they were able to deal with it. They were able to get pressure elsewhere and move forward. This time just hasn't been that factor.
And there's a reality of the jungle matchup where Cuz on the Elise been far more unleashed on the map. You can see about 600 gold ahead of his opponent, but you notice mid lane is behind 1400 gold, and on the one hand, has his core, 2 supportive items and the Merc Treads, but on the other hand, lost turret and they haven't had priority in the mid lane. They had much more mid lane priority in game 1. This time it's kind of gone, and the end result is that Karma, when she's getting roamed on, obviously a lot weak.
Yeah. And taking turrets is even more painful for Afreeca Freecs because it means that the Twitch could be anywhere at all times. Is it that submarine stage? The Blade of the Ruin King is done. And speaking about getting picks, Spirit is most certainly dead. Tucson should follow here as well, but the equalizer comes down. Yeah, there's the Weaver's Wall for a little bit of disengage from BDD. Okay, so it's just the pick onto Spirit. Don't get too much more, but damage has been done.
More and more picks like that, like in the manner that you see, means that when the Twitch is off the map, you now even have to respect the Elise. You respect the Twitch. Safe places you can go get more minimal as the Ash Arrow goes wide, and that's the sort of pressure that leads to early Barons, Atlas. So Baron about to spawn, map pressure solely in the possession of Longzhu. See the drive-by by Prey.
I'm just going to scope things out, see what he can see. Marin potentially in trouble. Scrap shields himself away the damage of the Shock Blast, and this tower is at relatively high health.
Marin's seen this before.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the equalizer, Pop Smithy. I don't think that bodes well.
He'd love to ward this brush.
Doesn't love to face check it though, as that's some decent damage from Kuro with the Q. Nice Dark Passage. Gets Marin out to safety, but that doesn't get the turret out to safety. As Kramer's on the bottom side of the map, the man advantage, but Longzhu will lock themselves down. Another objective. They're only moving further and further ahead. A lot of it having to do with Khan. 3-0-2 now on his Talia, as well as the 3, 2, and 4 of Kuz. He's done a lot of work so far on this Elise.
And even though the 2 items are strong for Afreeca with their early scalings, 2 items here for Longzhu are pretty sick as well. Got double Liandry's already. Blade of the Ruin King double Liandry's equals an early Baron, Atlas. So expect that vision supremacy from Longzhu to be centered around that objective in the next few minutes.
That was Rift Herald being invested into this mid lane and not actually getting anything on the side of Afreeca Freecs.
It was in vision, so crucially they didn't need to think about it too much and could be in the right position to answer it.
Alright, Tucson for another one of those wander-up Qs. Doesn't get it. Gets popped away.
Not the best Weaver's Wall that time by BDD. He was spoiled some great Weaver's Walls in previous times, but that one just brought some safety for Afreeca.
I wonder how they're going to use the Weaver's Wall in later fights as well. I feel like it could be so incredibly strong if paired with the Twitch ultimate from a good position. The hook. In fact, CC is going to be traded. Nice double play comes out as there's the equalizer from Marin, trying to start up this fight on a good footing, and in fact, good damage coming out from Afreeca Freecs, but Longzhu just a little bit more consistent. The hook so close to the tailcoat of Khan. The coattails, sorry. Tailcoat. Wrong word. Flat out.
Bray was really low on mana. The rest of his team weren't in a great spot. The equalizer and everything from Afreeca is perfect, but no one gains an advantage, and that means the Longzhu are still comfortable to go back to split pushing, go back to playing the map. That's where they're highly incentivized. The simple cliff notes told us that Afreeca wanted to group early, and Longzhu were happy to play side lanes. So the 5v5 doesn't get an advantage, go back to the side lanes.
Yeah. Khan's up here in full vision, but just taking away a Krug camp. Marin's going to burn the rest of them down, and they actually share the gold. Friendly, both of these guys. Khan looking for a more of Malmortius, I think, flat out as his second item, unless that is going to be a Ghost Blade picked up.
Already has one of those, so your first thought is correct. Most likely going to be the Maw, so that you can just kind of walk in front of Rumble and Karma and try to ignore most of the base damage.
I was a bit confused because it looked like only half a Ghost Blade because it was half on cooldown. Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, maybe he needs to finish off his other half. Wow, that item got nerfed, you know. bit of a problem.
There is a future nerf coming for, I guess you could call it a rework, but it feels like a nerf coming for Youmu's, so we may see less and less of it, Atlas.
Yeah, it's
The purple build, which has been enacted, may be gone.
I like the purple build. You used to be able to do purple builds on both sides of the damage as well, which was exciting. A little bit more difficult with the Abyssal Scepter not quite fitting that ideology anymore.
Drake's going to spawn in 10 seconds. A Mountain Drake, which for Longzhu and their earlier mentioned Baron buff taking prowess would be lovely to have double Mountain. Feels like Mountain is one of the things in the game that, sure, people know that it's strong, but knowing what 20% faster Baron takes is very difficult to quantify. You can look at a team and be like, they can do a Baron in no time at all, but knowing the difference in seconds is so important in a game which is so explored, with people knowing flash timers. So things like Mountain Drakes, I think, has a lot of hidden power, because being able to read what it means for a specific 5 champions can be big. Okay, it's mid lane party.
Yeah, Prey actually taking a lot of damage here as well. There's a flash kick from Spirit, and Prey will be taken down very early. Gorilla burning to death, but isn't actually going to die in the end as Mara and Scrap Shield speeds him up. Good Zhonya's, but I think he's still dead as Kuro's over to the side wanting to try and get something back. Spirit uses the safeguard. There's no Raptors there, and he has to sacrifice himself for the good of the colony. BDD now chasing down onto Kuro, and just feels like Longzhu were too far ahead, despite Freecs having a great start to that fight.
They got the pick they wanted, right? They finally got the kick onto the Twitch, but it didn't matter. They could bring in Jace doing his best 80 carry impression, consistent damage from Taliyah. Not many comps have 3 champions who can put out consistent damage, but that's what Taliyah, Jace, and Twitch bring to a team comp. Baron buff, not realistic. They back away from that, but it will be that second Mountain Drake we spoke about for the side of Longzhu game.
Yeah, and you're focusing down the Twitch when he was at, what, 0-1 and 2, or 0-0-2 or something like that at that stage. He didn't have all of the gold. It was the Taliyah, the 5-0-2 now Taliyah from BDD, and this 3-0-3 Jace that Khan has brought himself. That's the problem, this particular stage of the game. 30% cooldown reduction now on this Jace as well, who can just do spell rotation after spell rotation. You mentioned consistent damage. This is crazy.
We watched the replay. Gorilla does the team thing, blocks up the arrow, but the equalizer splits Twitch topside, and Spirit, who hit some famous kicks in previous series to allow Afreeca to win, gets a kick. They focus down the Twitch, but then consider it's still BDD on Taliyah and Khan on Jace. They can still chase down and execute. Spirit depressed to not find the Raptors. He'll be taken out. They can keep walking forward and getting stragglers. That's the sort of team comp they have. Is okay, once again.
Yeah, it's another kickback onto Prey. Kramer's going to finish that one up. The teleport came in there as well. Kuro pays a visit. Prey, okay, he's being preyed upon.
Fool me once, fool me twice now for Prey, who needs to be a bit more aware. Longzhu trying to play 1-3-1, and Spirit is really trying to do the heavy lifting in the 1-3-1 to make the 3, and specifically Prey. Hey.
Yeah. This is important, going back to those aggressive plays that we were talking about from Afreeca, but sometimes when you're falling behind, you have the choice of either falling over and taking it and then opting in to do a desperate defense of your inhibitor turrets, or you make risky plays, you try and be proactive and catch your opponent off guard. And so far, Spirit, 2 fantastic kicks. I mean, the first time didn't work. It was just flat out not good. Second time, it's exactly the pick that they wanted. There's a Weaver's Wall.
Well, bounces him away. We'll still be able to flash.
Yeah. Okay, BDD, a little bit off on his walls, just slightly, a couple of times. You can understand exactly what he was aiming for. And getting a flash is definitely a good trick.
If you go 5-0-2, maybe you don't need to hit the walls. You can just kill people straight up, as Prey got hooked to begin with, and Lion skill shots from there hit. Still very nice, clean stuff onto Prey, but okay, this has happened twice now. Why can't there be a control ward to patrol that particular brush? If they can't actually get a control ward into the river brush, then having one to stop the scouting thresh hooks is another option. Or just not playing around there is a third option.
Yeah.
So
Don't
fool me once,
there.
fool me twice. They die there a third time. You can only heap scorn onto the side of Longzhu.
Alright, Spirit going to experiment with a Q that goes wide on the Gorilla. This ward's being cleared out by Longzhu. Their control of this Baron area almost complete.
Prey's had enough. Just goes for a QSS. Aborts what looked like an Infinity Edge third with a bit more safety. He knows that the damage burden can be shared across the top 3 members of his side, Jace, Elise, and Taliyah. So not dying and putting out decent base damage, just fine from the Twitch's perspective.
Yep, does have that pickaxe, most likely going towards his Infinity Edge. That's a pick. That's going to be Twosome flashing out of the way. Okay, he's going to survive for now, though. Leandru's Torment not going to tick down and kill because the percent current health situation, always an issue. You think, oh, but it's got a dot on him. That's a dot that gets
And then they die to the
worse.
death by a touch, and like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
That's the dream. Cuz doesn't have death by a touch, Pop Smithy. So sad. Okay, Kramer's got a QSS as well, though. Speaking of Leandru's Torment, Marin has picked up his, and his Zhonya's. Void Staff should be coming very soon.
And the pressure to get a second item Void Staff, which used to be the core after Leandru's not there when you're not in tank matchups, so you're not respecting there to be Spirit Visages and other large health and magic resist items, so you can go for Zhonya's and have more of a team fighting impact.
Also showing that Marin was able to use it to pretty good effect last time around. Spirit, you gotta watch out for that spiderweb stuff. That's a problem. Twitch having a bit of a giggle in the mid lane, but is unable to find anyone to really focus on.
On the turret. Getting the harass onto Marin, but not getting any turret damage in. Teleport advantage that Khan has had for the past 3.5 to 4 minutes is starting to go away.
Okay. Hawk shots flying through. They will notice that the blue buff at least hasn't been taken. No, it doesn't go that far. So that's going to be pings on to the Baron area. Control ward's quite shallow. No one actually starting anything on the side of Longzhu. So just clearing out what vision there is. Still do have that scrying orb from Kramer if they want to check. So that cute little ward behind the pit could be pretty useful for Marin. Assuming a Baron may be started up.
May circumvent something like a Weaver's Wall being used to stop the intruding members from Afreeca Freecs from turning onto the Baron as it's getting close to Baron time. Will be delayed by Spirit putting down a ward.
Yeah, no sweep is actually available.
Or control
wards. There was a control ward, yeah, exactly. Nicely done by Spirit. Oh, Scryer's Bloom is going to be used by Afreeca as well. Another option for keeping his ward alive.
It's going to be double Hawk Shot, be the blue trinket. There's a lot of spot vision from Afreeca. Sneaking a Baron is very, very difficult for them to pull off. Third Mountain Drake, of course, given the Drakes we've had so far today, will be spawning. Longzhu would love that.
We've had so many dragons today. One of them has been an Ocean Drake, and one of them has been a Cloud Drake. Otherwise, it's all fire and all mountains.
I can't really argue with a token Ocean, a token Cloud, and everything else Infernal and Mountain.
We got a taste of everything, but only the good ones. You know, like we're only doubling up on the good ones. Okay, Freecs now moving towards this top side of the map to once again try and challenge around this Baron area. A lot of respect is being given to Longzhu. So Afreeca know that they are behind. It's to the tune of about 6,000 gold this particular stage, but if Longzhu can set up in good position, as there's the flash from Gorilla. Another flash kick comes out as Gorilla has been slowed forever, but throws down the ultimate. He's so tanky. The Weaver's Wall keeps him safe there as well. Inopportune. Normally you see a support and you're like, yeah, we'll be able to take him down. He's got so much health and so many items.
Using the kick onto Gorilla in the same context where they used the flash kick onto the Twitch seems like a losing move, Atlas, because now they have a big headache. We'll see the turn onto Baron as Jace will start using the hyperdrive onto the inner turret. There's the teleport. It's going to be too late.
Yeah, way too shallow there as well as Gorilla is still low. Twosome will spot the retreating members.
Jace might just take a Mountain Drake instead.
Yep, look at that. Scryer's Bloom is going to give Cuz a way out. And yeah, Marin teleport just did not do anything. So Afreeca Freecs, despite the fact that they're on the blue side, it looks like Longzhu want to be able to make this a 2-0 over them throughout the summer season, which will be a fantastic news story. You mentioned that Longzhu have a very similar record first round robin as they did the previous season.
Yeah, Expression, Crash, Fly, Praying Gorilla went 6-3 in the first round robin, then went 2-7 and missed the playoffs, finishing 7th in the spring season. And we had the optimism around Longzhu, went 6-3 again, but opening with a victory here, especially in a tough match against the Afreeca Freecs and rewriting the blue side only story would be very good news story, like you say, for them. Got the 3 Mountain Drakes with a strong sieging team as well. Strong sieging is perhaps strong, but they do have 4 ranged auto attackers, so plenty of people to profit from the 30% extra damage to turrets.
Yeah, and as far as late game dragons are concerned, it's also a very good option. They do have a lot of late game tools to make things happen. One thing I do like is having Mountain Drakes when you've got a Weaver's Wall there as well. You set up the wall, prevent the Afreeca Freecs from defending their inhibitor turrets, things like that, and you can rip them apart in the duration that that wall is there, providing the terrain.
The moment Jay's able to press W and step up to a turret, you are a very sad team if you're Afreeca Freecs.
This Twitch also has an Infinity Edge, which, as you can see, puts pretty good effect.
Longzhu still playing patient. They're playing around all 3 lanes. Mid lane now being pushed up by Jace. They want to ensure that there never is a time for Afreeca Freecs to press all their buttons, force a 5v5, and get back into the game, because there should be a point of weakness somewhere on the map if Afreeca ever groups. So that's the theory here. Jace pushes up in bot lane. He's going to look at the turret for a second. It will explode, and
nice time. There's the equalizer. Prey has to use the flash to get out of the way. Down to about half health, but Gorilla, once again, a large target, as that was not an option Marin really wanted to take. The Repel's going to get Cuz back up into the sky. There's good shielding now available. The Inspire keeps the Rumble alive, but that is going to spell most likely the death of this inner turret. And the last remaining one on the map here for Afreeca Freecs.
All of them down, starting to hit on the base turrets already. Inhibitor turret takes 3 shots, and also the minions is going to die now.
Yep. Oh, Khan just navigates around the flay. Like he knew exactly where. Oh, the seismic shove, nice onto Spirit, but does get himself out with a safeguard. Look at this damage available from Longzhu. Siege minion still here, firing away at this turret, which, oh yeah, you're right. He looks at turrets and they die.
Base broken finally for Afreeca Freecs. Will they ever get the 5v5 they were desperate to with this draft? Here comes Jace would have started
the ambush. Yeah, there's the Blade of the Ruined King coming out. A lot of damage onto the Afreeca Freecs, but they stay alive. Their inhibitor going to do the opposite. So nice open base for Longzhu to work with. And also, that is the Baron inhibitor being taken down. Gorilla said, oh, but guys, I want to go home.
And your excitement around the Karma, Kuro has been expertly trivialized in this game, I would say. Really hasn't been able to make proactive plays, lost his turret early. And Karma without a turret is just not the same thing. The teleports have never been able to be used to get picks. They've just been used to pick up farm or try to stop the Jace from taking down turrets. And the end result is that all she really provides is the AoE shields. And like we said, Longzhu are not interested in 5v5 fighting, even if they have a Baron, even if they are set up to succeed with a big gold lead. They prefer to follow the original playbook, the one that said 5v5 is the only way Afreeca Freecs win the game. Let's give them no 5v5s.
Yeah, no option there at all. And they've got 4 items on the Jace. All of them AD items as well. That is just crazy.
Yeah,
Guardian Angel completed.
Hoping for a cheeky AP item to end things up.
Yeah. I want a Zhonya's. I want the golden boy. You know, used to the skies and then use Zhonya's. Just looks super sweet. That might be a little bit troll though. They are winning by a heck of a lot more possibility. This is over 10,000 gold and Tucson is dead. Idity gonna pick that one up. Threaded volley does a fair bit of damage. Equalizer. Khan just walking down. Gonna have the redemption. Gets the full heal back off it. And Longzhu pushing down the top side. Not enough members on the side of Afreeca Freecs, especially with their support dead, and they're gonna lose more than just its inhibitor, I expect. As Kuro, he's gonna get engaged on. Has to use the flash. Contaminate is going to be there. The poison burning down. Good Inspire comes up at just the right time to save the life of the Karma, but won't be there for this defense. As these Nexus turrets are going to be taking a lot of damage, and Longzhu may just be able to win this one right here. The Twitch doing the damage to the turrets. He knows where they're going to win this game. And there's the knockback onto Spirit. Loses half of his health bar. No safeguard available. Dodges out of the way of the seismic shove into his own death. And Tucson respawns just to die once again. Marin uses the Zhonya's, but Khan just walks out the side. He's got the Guardian Angel there as well. Kramer going for the battle. Prey takes a lot of damage. Double kill, but that doesn't matter. The Nexus falls down, and Longzhu 2-0 over the Afreeca Freecs.
Longzhu Gaming finally end the streak of 5 blue game victories with a red side victory here to decide the series. Great play from them, a team display as well. They understood their win conditions, they played to them, and from there really was no way back for the side of Afreeca Freecs. Frustrated, but they could not rotate their karma, they couldn't just push lanes and force 5v5 fights. The moment that a 5v5 comp loses the pressure war, no longer has the vision advantage to force those picks. They just have to watch as the enemy takes objective after objective. Really nice stuff from Longzhu. They move up now to join some of the big boys at 7-match victories, and they get to stave off the disappointment of their loss earlier this week.
Yeah, evening things out with KT Rolster. Team that we saw fumble a little bit against the Rocks Tigers as we moved into the second round robin. So we'll see whether Longzhu can put challenge to them. That will be an interesting matchup we have waiting for us next time around. Spirit has earned himself a little bit of a nap, but he's not feeling so great after game number 3.
To me, that was more about abating any sort of depression or anger at his team not being able to pick up the victory. Game 3, Spirit got those 2 heroic kicks onto Prey, but the third one, where he had to invest his flash to kick in a full tank gorilla on Braum, was not an ideal usage of a big cooldown, and after that, Longzhu took Baron, took advantages. Sure, Kramer doing a lot of damage and having the shields to stay alive, but it was as his Nexus exploded, and Longzhu do pick up the match victory. That was oh so important for both teams.
Yeah. Incredibly well played by Longzhu towards the end. The first game, as first games often are for the Afreeca Freecs, was dominant, even after a good start from Longzhu. In the end, the Galio in game number 2 was just ridiculous. And with the Xayah being banned away, it feels like Kramer could not flourish on that of the Ashe. They tried so many fancy bans to try and put different players in uncomfortable positions on the side of Longzhu Gaming, but it just seems that, you know, you ban all the 80 carries out and then you pick away the Ashe from Prey, you pick something like the Twitch. They play around that and they look good. Game beforehand it was Cuz, but then he picks up the Gragas, champion that he's played once this season and performs incredibly well, picks himself up an MVP.
And the Ashe was more of a takeaway, you'd think, in hindsight.
Well, yes, of course.
It wasn't really like the Callista, which would have been the power pick available for Kramer to try to make the difference. Had to look at the damage graphs. All the usual offenders did damage, but felt like a support karma and an 8,000 damage from the mid lane. It was much more of a shield bot than the harass-heavy, early leveled karma that we've seen in many other games. Talia with the most damage this game wasn't the Weaver's Walls we might have expected from BDD. He's had better games for that ability, but he was training down people with a lot of kills earlier in the game, and he still will pick up the MVP.
Yeah, legendary performance, 8-0 and 4. And it was his seismic shoves that really made up for his Weaver's Walls. He was able to pick up a lot of them onto the likes of Spirit, and BDD is going to move up to equal first.
With the person that he just took down as well, Atlas. Always spicy when he got the head-to-head matchups. Started his roaming early here, even though the teleport was there for Karma to get in. Karma had just recalled, it was a bit slow on the uptick. BDD picked up a couple of kills, maintained a pretty significant gold and item advantage over his enemy mid laner for the majority of the game, and as you say, the roams also were on point.
Yeah, it's just being able to move around the map, and he's so good at it on this pick, and always has been. There's the seismic shoves that I was talking about in the mid lane on that pick. Tusa not quite finding that hook is a little bit unfortunate, but look, this Weaver's Wall actually worked out quite well for Longzhu.
And Khan also is someone to speak about on the Jace once again into the Rumble. Proved a big pick for him. He moves to 4-0 himself on the Jace. Another potential headache. This is a man you can't ban out. He has the extended bench. Some of Afreeca's stuff. They equalizes predictably from Marin were good. The kick onto Prey, taking him down this fight, was good. But never was everything working in unison, and never were Longzhu happy to opt into multiple 5v5 fights. So overall, balance of power was well within 2 hands of Longzhu Gaming, and they guided that to a 3-game victory.
Yeah, and also just understanding that they had so much consistent damage in these fights as well. They knew that if they were going to trade 1-for-1, then they would win the remainder of the fight. This was very nice from Gorilla. So much damage, gets a brilliant ultimate, and then still survives.
And I'm kind of on the other side of the coin, where it was so much invested by Afreeca to kill a support Braum that they couldn't be surprised when one of those 3 consistent damage dealers came in and mopped the floor to them. Couldn't even take out Gorilla in that fight. Not in this time. Got a couple of feel-good kills, but only slight catharsis for what ended up being an Afreeca defeat.
Yeah, BDD going to be able to pick up a well-earned MVP there as well, as Talia continues to impress. Has done so for quite some time. So we are going to throw it over to the rest of Longzhu for the MVP interview. And here's Joel to take it away.
Very much, guys, and I am back. Joel with the interview translations once again. We're here with Longzhu Gaming picking up a 2-1 victory against the Afreeca Freecs, and we are here with the MVPs for today, BDD and Cuz, for the interview. Cuz, how do you feel? You know, we have a break right after this game, so closing out with the win and heading for a break feels really good. And BDD, you have racked up so many MVP points right now. How do you feel? I was sort of worried about the matchup coming into it today. But I feel like, you know, the bot lane did such a good job of opening up the space for us to work with. And some of you guys may notice that BDD and Cuz were actually in the same school back in the high school. Yeah, when we were in high school together, we went to go eat lunch together. And sometimes, you know, when we took naps during school, you know, we did it together. So a lot of things we did together. So he was always with me for those times. So it was nice having him, you know, as a friend and also with a teammate as well. We want to talk about the game. And game one was really towards your guys' side. And we felt like that victory should have been yours, but what happened? And we want to talk about the ban pick phase, where we felt like you guys got the picks that you wanted. Yeah, I'm sure Afreeca made their preparations coming into this series, and we felt that I think we could have gotten a better pick if we were smarter about the picks. And didn't you feel that with the 3 early kills that you guys got in the early game, didn't you guys confirm the win? Yeah, I felt like if we didn't get cut in the middle and got a little more vision with the advantages that we had, we should have won relatively easily, but I feel like the opponent did a good job of cutting down on our advantages. And of course, Zaya was a big trouble for you guys. Didn't you guys feel like you guys had to win at one point? Yeah, I feel like, you know, with some of the items that we went with, we thought that we were, you know, having the least risk going into some of this part, but we had a lot of confidence. And, you know, taking the Galio away, they took some pretty powerful picks, but you guys went with Gragas as a jungle. I felt like with the picks that we had left available, felt like, you know, we could go with the Gragas and really trust the Galio that will do its job. And Cuz, you seem to be very offensive in your play today, and it was not without your, you know, situational plays that you guys had in a couple of situations. Yeah, when I do go in aggressively, I always keep in mind of what I'm trying to get at and what kind of result I'm trying to pull out. But we have a video highlight of one of these offensive, aggressive play by Cuz. And this was actually the big part in getting the early advantage that snowballed eventually. Was the communication alright during this play? Yeah, we got confirmed that the opponent mid lane did not have any spells. So, you know, whenever he comes up to gank, I try to make the right calls regarding the spells so that we are able to make the efficient plays work out.
승리로 가져가고 3세트에 또 이 뱀픽 구도가 좀 재밌었어요.
And the second game, you guys got the win, and third game was an interesting thing with the Bampi phase as well.
본인들이 할 수 있는 픽들을 가져오는.
And it felt like you guys gave up some of the picks and had to go with the secondary picks that I'm sure you guys didn't consider as primary.
자신 있는 거를 하자고 해가지고 이제 저는 앨리스로 리신 상대.
You know, we wanted to go with something that we were confident on, and it felt like Elise was one of those picks.
그래서 앨리스 리신 구도에 대해서 혹시 뭐 이렇게 좀
And the Lee-Sin matchup is a very interesting one where we want to know who the clear winner is just by the picks.
앨리스가 아무래도 부시에 숨어 리신을 예측해가지고.
If Elise can predict the location of where the Lee-Sin is and hide in the bush and to come up with a little sneaky play and get the cocoon and all the rest of the combo, and it does, you know, scale better than Lee-Sin does.
참 잘하는 것 같아요.
And you know, you're saying all this, but you seem like you're good at all of those champions that you're mentioning.
거 좋아하는 것 같아요.
Yeah, I feel like I like hiding in bushes.
BDD 선수도 이제 3세트 탈리아를 보여줬는데.
And BDD, you came up with Talia in game 3. And it just feels like your performances throughout the season has been really much higher than, you know, a lot of the seasons that you performed before, where we've seen you underperform compared to this. I feel like I'm more comfortable now because we have all these veteran teammates who really take the lead, and I just have to fill in my role and just do my part, which makes it a lot easier.
궁금해하시는 게 그냥 하다못해 솔로 랭크를 해도 몇 대 싸우는 건 기본인데 보통의 경우는 LCK에서
And the thing is interesting about Longzhu is that you guys always play a solo queue style, a solo rank style, but
그냥 좀 팀원들이 그얘 없다 이런 콜을 하면은 아예 살인.
yeah, we do have our individual moments, but we do make the communications when we need to, and I think that's the difference we have compared to other teams. And we do have a video highlight of where the Talia gets the double kill here. I feel like this would have been a disadvantageous situation for you guys, but somehow you guys got a double kill and eventually a team fight win.
네, 이때 쓰레쉬가 마침 앞에 보여가지고 쓰레쉬.
And we saw Thresh coming up,
치면서 아 이거 그래도 할 만한.
and we felt like, you know, at the later part of this team fight, we had a good chance to win the team fight overall. We felt like we could be aggressive and going for the right trades, and that's where we got the better part of the trade.
3세트 초반에 1레벨에서 부시에서 치열하게 처음에.
And one of the situations in the early game was where you hid in the bush and tried to look for some kind of flank.
네, 제가 그래가지고 좀 당황했는데.
Yeah, I was waiting for a long time, and I was kind of getting nervous by then. And
범현이 형이 플래시 빠졌으니까 좀 안정적이게 하라 해가지고.
you know, but Thresh was out of the, Gorilla was out of his flash, so you know we were trying to be careful about that situation. What are you supposed to do in this situation? It's really tough to concentrate there.
이거는 상대방이 예측하고.
I feel like the opponent did a good job of really predicting where I was at that situation. And if I was caught out in that situation, there's nothing I can do other than dying, so that's what happened there.
다행일 수도 있어. 더 잡힐 수도 있었는데.
그럼 뱀픽 구도에서 또 하나 재밌었던 거 칸 선수가 제이스를 요즘
And another interesting thing about the Bampick phase is with Khan really picking up the Jace and really putting a priority on that champion.
또 제이스 쓸 때 어떤 얘기를 하나요?
What's the comments that go behind that champion?
뭐 어떤 게 해도 이길 수 있다는 말을 해서.
Khan, you know, this guy is all about, you know, no matter what champions he picks, he has the confidence that he can beat anybody with whatever champions he picks.
얘기가 나와서 추가적으로 좀 지난번 경기 끝나고 약간 뭐 울었는지 아니면.
You know, we saw in the previous series that you guys had, after that series, we saw Khan kind of tearing up. What was that situation?
눈물이 많아서.
울보예요?
네, 울보.
No, Khan, he cries all the time. You know, he has a lot of tears and he's very emotional.
표현이 다소 좀 노골적이긴 하네요.
코딱지라고 할 정도로 보통 코를 팠다고 하는데. 예, 그런데.
그냥 뭐 그랬던 것 같아요.
And I felt like, you know, it was an emotional moment for him.
여기서 팩트가 나왔습니다. 울었다고 합니다. 이거 확실하게 해주시고.
So that fact is confirmed now that Khan did cry there.
본인이 질문을 왔는데 내가 정글 서열 2위다.
And the current question going to you, Cuz, is that are you the second best jungler in LCK right now?
1위는 제가 나중에 1위 되면 말해드릴게요.
If I become first, I will tell you who the rest of the junglers are.
이제 2위로 내려갈 그분을 내가 말하겠다.
So you're saying if you go up to first, you'll let us know who that second place will be, right? So that's the promise made by Cuz.
말씀해 주셔야 됩니다.
We'll have to wait for that kind of answer.
비도 살짝 지금 밖에 내리고 있는데 많은 팬분들이 또 롱주를 응원해 주시기 위해서.
I'm sure you have a lot of fans waiting for you guys and also cheering you guys on throughout this entire season. Would you like to tell them something?
되게 1경기는 경기력이 아쉬웠고 2, 3경기
Yeah, we were very
나쁘지 않게 했던 것 같은데
dissatisfied with the way we played out the game 1, but we were more happy with the way we played out game 2 and game 3. We just continue to ask you to support us throughout the rest of the season. And that's the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Interesting confirmation on the fact that Khan has been crying a lot after these games. Thank you very much for that, BDD. Added information.
Confirmation that Joel is back as well from his sojourn.
Thank goodness. Enough of this military stuff, Joel. We miss you.
Well, Longzhu Gaming finally rewrote the blue side script that had dominated the 5 games we saw over 10 days between Afreeca Freecs and Longzhu Gaming. BDD pumping up that KDA again. He's over 10 again, Atlas, and he's feeling pretty good about it. And that also means that Longzhu Gaming skipped past a KT Rolster team that couldn't get by Rox Tigers, and now they're third, 7-3, and feeling good.
Yeah, and it also goes back to that very first victory that Longzhu were able to put in over KT Rolster. If that had gone the other way, much as KT would have liked in the first round robin, especially given the fact that they then went on to such a winning streak, would have been a very different story. But Longzhu now creeping into that third place, locking that one down for themselves, and Afreeca hot on the heels, KT Rolster as well, and they need to pick up a couple more victories to get themselves there. And our next matchup is going to be Samsung versus Jin Air, or Jin Air versus Samsung. We're going to be starting with blue side Jin Air Green Wings, and I'm excited to see whether the Akali's going to come back out, things like that. I want the mirrored matchups once again as Ixu. Oh man, it looked so good, but it could be difficult because Samsung are looking to try and create some momentum moving into Rift Rivals next week.
Yeah, the mind games between the teams that played 3 games just a couple of days ago are going to be interesting. Like you say, they want to go into Rift Rivals as first place.
Yeah.
Any victory, they do that.
Well, we'll see what they can do. But ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be about